Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Coming up tonight on Our News, the COVID-19 vaccine is here. The Prime Minister today receiving a gift of 20,000 doses from India. The government explores other avenues to acquire more vaccines. Why the tourism minister says things are looking up for the tourism industry. Plus, 7 people are in custody after police seize hundreds of pounds of suspected marijuana. Welcome to Our News and thanks for joining us. I'm Christina Dragovich. Topping news tonight, the first 20,000 doses of the COVID-19 vaccine landed at Lynden Pinling International Airport this morning. Kyle Joaquin was there.
United Airlines Flight 1456 from Newark, New Jersey touched down at LPIA around 11:30 this morning, carrying precious cargo, 20,000 doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine. Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis happily touching the packages after weeks and months of waiting. The vaccine dose is now in a storage facility in an undisclosed location. There is currently no clear date on when people can begin signing up for the vaccine, but the Prime Minister says rollout trials are set to begin this weekend.
Next week, our vaccine should be rolled out. We have completed the IT program to ensure the registration of individuals so the entire system can be transparent, and we're following the protocol, and we would send our protocol to WHO so that the entire world would be familiar with what we have done.
Healthcare workers, residents, and staff of elder care homes, as well as non-ambulatory residents registered in the public healthcare system, are set to be among the first to receive the vaccine. Dr. Minnis assuring the rollout will be transparent,
so that there can be no possibility or question of any one jumping the line or showing favoritism to this one or the next. It would be totally transparent, and you would have that information available to you.
On Sunday, Minnis said 33,000 of the 100,000 doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine that the Bahamas secured through the COVAX facility will be in country by the end of the month. But today's arrival is a donation from the government of India, which had representatives from the Indian Association in the Bahamas present. Dr. Minnis addressing concerns by public health stakeholders over a lack of consultation on the rollout.
I think that they are more concerned about rolling out the vaccine and getting the vaccines delivered in the arms of the Indian populace so that we can get back to normalcy as quickly as possible.
The Prime Minister not passing up on the opportunity to mention Junkanoo, stating he can't wait until the big show is back on Bay Street.
One of my happiest moments, other than this, will be when I can say, Junkanoo's friends, colleagues, get ready for Christmas. Let's rock and roll. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Again, the Prime Minister said he will give an update very soon as to the next steps for the vaccine rollout. But for now, reporting from LPIA for Our News, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
And this as health officials say there's no reason to be fearful of taking the vaccine. Giorgio Bain has that.
Today marked a pivotal day in the Bahamas' fight against the COVID-19 pandemic, according to Dr. Nakia Forbes, director of the National HIV/AIDS and Infectious Disease Program. Forbes addressing concerns about the origin of the vaccines.
So it is a good quality vaccine. It has gone through the robust clinical trials that, as I said, were accelerated, and there's a way to do that, and the scientific information is clear.
Forbes also addressing how effective the vaccine is against newly emerging variants.
With several of these new emerging strains, that's the UK strain, the B117, the South African strain, the Brazilian strain, and there are other emerging strains in the United States, that there has already been demonstrated some reduced efficacy for some of the vaccines against some of these strains, like the South African strain. Now, it isn't all bad news, because the vaccines can still prevent severe COVID and hospitalizations from these resistant strains.
So who's up first now that the vaccine is officially here in the country?
Based upon what the COVAX committee has said, that it will be persons in elderly care facilities, frontline healthcare workers, that would be getting the vaccines in this first batch.
Forbes also addressing other major concerns that may play a role in vaccine hesitancy, including the possible side effects. Here's what she says those getting the jab can expect.
It can be a pain in the arm or sore arm, a low-grade fever, feeling tired, muscle aches, headache, some chills. They generally happen in the first 2 to 3 days after getting the vaccine. It's very, very short-lived.
Dr. Forbes urges residents not to wait for another vaccine to arrive, but rather take the steps to protect themselves and loved ones by taking the one that is currently available. Reporting for our news, I'm Georgie O'Bain.
And as we mentioned earlier, those 20,000 vaccine doses the Bahamas received today is just the beginning. A little later, we'll tell you how government is working to secure even more doses through some unlikely sources. In other news, tourism is slowly starting to rebound, according to the tourism minister. Jasmine Brown reports.
The tourism minister today revealed that the airline industry was among the hardest hit in the tourism sector, with those funded by taxpayers taking the brunt of the economic blow.
Bahamas Air was to receive 19 million. The Airport Authority was to receive 5 million. Nassau Flight Services was to receive 1.5 million. And NAD was to receive nothing. That totaled $25.5 million.
Delivering a breakdown of the state of the tourism industry during the first half of the fiscal year, D'Aguilar said those entities have already cost the Minist's administration 2.4 times more than what was budgeted.
So far this year, up to the middle of this month, these government-owned entities will have received the following in government support. $53 million for Bahamas Air versus the 19 we budgeted for the whole year. $8 million for the Airport Authority. We budgeted 5 for the whole year. 4.5 for Nassau Flight Services. We budgeted 1.5 for the whole year. That totals $61.5 million. By the end of the year, these entities will have cost the taxpayer over $75 million, which is 3 times more than what was budgeted.
While those entities are continuing to cost the government a fortune, D'Aguilar says there was also some good news. Over the past 4 months, he says government has received more than 125,000 travel applications from both visitors and returning residents. On average, he says that's more than 2,000 applications a day since the new year.
In February, there were over 28,000 that applied. And for March, I estimate that close to 45,000 visitors will apply for a health visa.
As it relates to the cruise industry, he says cruise lines have showed increased interest in the Bahamas as berth requests for the last 6 months of 2021 rose by 20% when compared to the same time period in 2019. Now, while the tourism minister says there is some good news, he insists it's not time to celebrate just yet, as he says the Bahamas still has a long way to go. Reporting for our news, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Well, the government of the Bahamas is on the verge of offloading the Grand Lucayan Hotel and acquiring the Grand Bahama International Airport.
The government will purchase the property for a nominal price and establish a legal construct where they are not obligated to pay any amount to the Port Authority in fees. The government will then hire a consultant to advise it on how best to redevelop that airport, given the high probability of another weather event impacting that airport. Mr. Speaker, it makes no sense to me to build back the same type of airport, i.e. close to the ground, and not at least consider quite seriously the impact of hurricanes and flooding on that facility.
While D'Aguilar did not reveal the purchase price, he says the Minist's administration plans to invest about $1.5 million in the airport's capital improvements in the short term. As for the Grand Lucayan Hotel, he says the long journey is coming to an end.
The terms have been essentially agreed, and having the sale of the hotel tied to Royal Caribbean and ITM first striking a deal with Hutchinson Ports has made this transaction that much more complex. But I think all the ducks have been lined up and we are nearing completion. I remain hopeful.
Well, another cool evening in the capital. Greg Thompson is in the Weather Center with the details.
Thanks, Christina. I'm meteorologist Greg Thompson with your first look at weather. A little warmer around the country today. Temperatures getting up into the upper 70s, low 80s. Right now we are in the low 70s, 73 outside our studios. Passing clouds, it's breezy still. Temperatures going to remain pretty much around the 70-degree mark. And of course, those winds are going to continue to keep things a little comfortable. Satellite view, we have some moisture still moving across the northern islands. Patchy clouds up there, but that frontal boundary across the southeast Bahamas starting to back up. So we're going to see some more showers across the southeast Bahamas, as well as the Turks and Caicos Islands for the next couple of days. That is your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
Still to come on our news, 7 people are in police custody after a major drug bust in southern New Providence this morning. And police need your help in solving a murder in Pinewood Gardens last night. Stay with us.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
A man was shot dead in Pinewood Gardens on Tuesday night. According to police, it was around 9 p.m. when officers were called to the scene at Sugar Apple Street. When they arrived, officers found a man suffering from gunshot wounds in the driver's seat of a white Honda Accord with extensive damage.
Additional inquiries revealed that this vehicle was traveling east on Sugar Apple Street when a small Japanese vehicle crossed the vehicle, and then the vehicle stopped. A passenger exited that vehicle and discharged a firearm in the direction of the driver, injuring him.
Police say the driver lost control of the vehicle and collided into a wall. He was pronounced dead on the scene by paramedics.
Appealing to members of the public who may have any information in regards to this incident to contact the Criminal Investigations Department with whatever information they have at 502-9991 or 2.
Well, 7 people are in police custody after a 336-pound suspected marijuana seizure at a Fire Trail Road home this morning. Jared Higgs tells us more.
Heavily armed DEU officers haul 336 pounds of alleged marijuana out of a home as chained-up dogs bark in the background.
This morning, sometime around 7 a.m., acting on intelligence, officers from the Drug Enforcement Unit along with the K-9 unit descended upon this residence here and executed a search warrant. As a result of that search, the officers would have found 13 crocus sacks containing a substance considered to be suspected marijuana.
Police press liaison ASP Audley Peters says 7 people are in custody after the $336,000 discovery. As police searched the home and updated the media, those suspects sat in the back of tinted police jeeps awaiting transport to the Carmichael Road police station.
5 adult males and 2 adult females were taken into custody, and they are assisting police with this investigation.
Peters says police intelligence led to the $336,000 discovery. He says they have a 96-hour window to bring charges. He issued this warning saying police are aware of the effects drugs have on communities.
What we want to say to members of the public who are hell-bent on criminality that our intelligence network is working, and we are going to continue to see results like these. So you are giving a forewarning to desist and discontinue your behavior of criminality.
Drug Enforcement Unit officers are expected to provide an update on those recent crime trends tomorrow afternoon. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jared Higgs.
When our news comes back from the break, more girls are teeing up for golf, and preparations for the Summer Olympic Games kick into high gear. Marcellus Hall has the details when our news returns.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
This is Our News. Welcome back. Names like Tiger Woods and Jack Nicklaus dominate the sport of golf, but one Bahamian golfer is challenging that. Our Jillian Gray sits down with the first female head golf pro in the Bahamas to talk about her accomplishments and advocacy for more girls in golf.
The lush green pastures of the golf course has historically been dominated by men, but one Bahamian female pro golfer is challenging that norm and charting a new course for girls and women in the industry. Georgette Roll first stepped foot on a golf course when she was 6 years old. What started out as a pastime on a Saturday quickly became a lifelong passion.
Somewhere along the way, I got hooked and started enjoying the game.
Roll is the first female head golf pro in the Bahamas and has played in the Ladies Professional Golf Association. When she started, golf was not exactly a girls' sport, as about 80% of the players were boys. She hit a turning point in her career at the age of 16 after ranking near the bottom in the Caribbean Amateur Gold Championships.
I wasn't a great player at that time, but the opportunity presented itself. That really made me realize exactly, well, A, where my game was, and then B, just watching the other females in the field play really good golf. I said, you know what? I am definitely going to work hard on my game and not let that happen again.
The game of golf now boasts a near even split of male and female participation. Rolls says she's proud to see more girls picking up the clubs.
In the next 2 to 3 years, we're going to see so many little girls playing golf. That's going to make me super proud.
Rolls says International Women's Month is about continuing to change the mindset of what is possible for women.
You're going to fall down along the way, right? You know, as kids, like, we fall down all the time and we just get right back up, right? And so we just have to remember that we're going to fall along the way, just keep getting back up. And one day, if you really want it, if that's what you really are trying to do, you are going to achieve it.
Reporting for our news, I'm Jillian Gray.
With plans for the Olympic Games moving ahead for this summer in Japan, Bahamian Olympics champion Shawnee Miller-Weibo is staying focused. Marcellus Hall tells us more.
All right, thanks a lot. Welcome to our sports on a Wednesday, everybody. I'm Marcellus Hall with word coming down from the IOC that the Olympic Games will probably be held this summer in Tokyo, Japan. Our very own Olympic champion Shawnee Miller-Weibo says, hey, I've been preparing all along. She's ready to go. The COVID-19 pandemic has put an indelible blemish on the sporting schedule worldwide, most notably the Olympic Games, which was scheduled to be held last summer in Tokyo, Japan. Forced to postpone, the International Olympic Committee has now moved ahead with plans to host the Games this summer with a number of safety protocols in place to ensure the health of the participants. Defending Olympic champion in women's 400 meters Shawnee Miller-Weibo, recently appearing on an episode of The Locker Room, talked about staying prepared to compete.
It hasn't been as difficult for me. You know, with me, I always try to bring in the same momentum every year and the same mentality every year. Going in knowing that I'm going to go out there and I'm going to give it my all and I'm going to do my best. And, you know, last year was very unfortunate. We were in pretty much the best shape of our lives in that moment. And we got the news. We knew that everything had to come to a stop and, you know, just kind of refocus for the next season. But, you know, we got the opportunity to work on a lot of smaller things, technique, you know, endurance, speed, and things along that line. And so we didn't waste the year. We got as much as we could out of it. We were still able to compete a few times. But yeah, this year it's a lot more full, and we're excited to see what happens. But,
meanwhile, countries continue toward getting their athletes prepared for the Games. South Korea, for instance, has implemented a campaign to vaccinate its athletes as they get ahead of the proposed competition dates. There are, however, still some obstacles to be overcome. Host nation Japan recently canceled an Olympic gymnastics test event yesterday that would have included athletes from outside of the country. The Tokyo World Cup will now be replaced by a local event featuring only Japanese gymnasts in order to test the venue. And that's a look at your sports here on this Wednesday. I'm Marcellus Hall. Back to you. It's now time for tonight's Financial Market Minute, brought to you by Cable Bahamas Business Solutions, the experts for all your business needs. This has been your Financial Market Minute. Cable Bahamas Business Solutions, giving you trusted solutions that work for you and your business. Contact us today.
Coming up on our news, how much longer will this cool down last? Greg has the answer after the break. Plus, is 20,000 doses of the COVID-19 vaccine enough? How government is working to get more doses in country. Stay with us.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
Welcome back to our news. Temperatures slowly creeping back up to the 80s. Greg is back in the weather studio with a look ahead.
Thanks again, Christina, and a happy Wednesday, everybody. High pressure remains in charge, generating those breezy conditions across the islands. Hazardous boating and beaching conditions continuing. That front boundary that we had near the southeast Bahamas starting to lift back towards the north, so some showers and thunderstorm activity on the increase across that area over the next couple of days. Boating conditions across the northwest Bahamas tonight through tomorrow. We're still asking you boaters to remain in port. The winds will be out of the east at 20 to 25 knots, seas running 7 to 10 feet, but up to 12 feet in those swells. While in the central and southeastern islands, those winds are a little stronger, but boaters asking you to remain in port as well. Northeast breeze 20 to 30 knots, seas rough 8 to 12 feet over the ocean. Here's a look now at your national forecast. A look now at your extended forecast through Monday. That's a look at our weather. Make it a great night, everybody. Christina?
Thanks, Greg. Well, the vaccine is here, but as Health Minister Renward Wells told us last week, the Bahamas is still waiting in line for the delivery of a batch of vaccines the country put a down payment on through the World Health Organization's COVAX facility.
We've put down the money for COVAX, which we did for back in September of last year, before vaccines even came out and were approved. So we put down to be able to secure enough vaccine to vaccinate 20% of our population. So that's one facility, the WHO.
The Pan American Health Organization has indicated that the Bahamas is set to receive its first round of COVAX vaccines before the end of March. But Wells says the Bahamas is also pursuing other avenues.
We've gone directly to manufacturers, and we're negotiating with them and talking to them, be it AstraZeneca, Johnson & Johnson, Pfizer, Moderna.
Members of the Caribbean Community, or CARICOM nations, have also reached out to the African Union, according to Wells, who says that would give the body more bargaining power to acquire more vaccines.
We've reached out, as CARICOM has done for all of CARICOM nations. We have reached out to the African Union to be a part of the African whole buying power, to be a part of the AU, the African Union, the 56 countries in Africa, along with the Caribbean, to increase our buying power for vaccines.
According to Al Jazeera, the African Union, or AU, has secured around 670 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines so far. Wells takes a deep dive into how far the Bahamas has come and where we're heading now that the vaccine rollout is imminent in The Breakdown, an RTV special that airs Monday, March 15th at 8 p.m. only on RTV. Well, thank you for joining us for our news tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Christina Dragovich. Have a beautiful evening, Bahamas. A new episode of the new Sawyer Boy TV show starts right now.